Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Functional Longevity Podcast, where we give you insight on how to get fit, feel younger, live better. I'm your host, Chris Border, best-selling author and owner of Y.E.S Fitness. Let me first thank you for taking time from your busy day to listen to what I have to say. I never take that lightly. Before we get started, let me also thank our sponsor, Y.E.S Fitness. Most people lose the ability to enjoy life as they age. At Y.E.S Fitness, we help people age 40 plus get fit so they can live longer and enjoy those extra years doing the things they love to do. Some quick housekeeping here. If you want to get a timestamp or a transcript of today's broadcast, head on over to yesfitnessct.com. You'll see a button or a drop down for podcast. Click on that, and it will give you access to any one of our now 397 episodes. You can also get this broadcast wherever podcasts can be found. Boost your longevity with particular supplements. If your workouts are not hitting the same, if recovery is slower, or if you feel like your energy drops off too fast, there is usually something deeper going on. As we age, our ability to produce and use energy declines. That is why I use Particular. NNM supports cellular energy production. Resveratrol helps protect cardiovascular and brain health, and berberine supports metabolic flexibility and blood sugar control. These are clean, research-backed supplements made in the United States, and they have made a noticeable difference for me in energy and recovery. If you want to feel the difference, go to particular.com. That's Particular.com and use the code 15 to save 15% on your order. The powerful Peakspan insight that changes how you think about aging. If you've been training for years, eating well, and doing all the right things, but still feel like something is slipping, your energy, your sharpness, your performance, this episode is going to connect a lot of dots for you. Because what we are talking about today is not just longevity. It's not just health span. It's something different. It is something more precise. It's called Peakspan. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. But you may start to hear it. Peakspan. And once you understand this concept, it completely changes how you think about aging, training, and what you are actually trying to preserve. Let me explain. Longevity asks how long you live. Healthspan asks how long you avoid major disease. But Peakspan asks a much more important question. How long do you stay close to your best? Not just alive, not just disease-free, but operating at a high level, mentally, physically, functionally. Peak span is defined as a period of your life where you're at or above 90% of your best ever performance in a given system. That could be your aerobic capacity, your strength, your cognition, your immune system, your hormones. And here's the key insight. You can be completely healthy and still be far outside your peak span. You can have no disease, no diagnosis, no major issues, and still feel slower, weaker, less sharp, less capable. That gap between health span and peak span is where most people are living. And most people do not even realize it. Aging is not one thing. One of the most important takeaways from this research is that aging does not happen all at once. It is not a single downward slope. It's not a one system declining at one rate. It is a staggered process, system by system. Your brain does not age at the same rate as your muscles. Your cardiovascular system does not decline the same rate as your hormones. Your immune system is on a completely different timeline. For example, your fluid intelligence, things like processing speed, working memory peaks at your 20s and starts to decline early. But your crystallized intelligence, your knowledge, your experience, your vocabulary that peaks much later and can stay strong into your 70s. Your cardiovascular fitness peaks early as well, usually in your 20s, and then gradually declines over time. Your muscle strength peaks early, holds on for a while, and drops more sharply later in life. Your hormones start shifting in your 30s and 40s. Your immune system starts declining much earlier than most people think. So, what does that mean? It means you're not aging as a whole, you're aging in pieces. And if you're not actively training and supporting those systems, they start slipping out of peak span one by one. So, why does this matter after 40? This is where the conversation gets real for you and for clients we work with every day. Most people over 40 are still in their health span. They're not sick, they're not dealing with major disease, but they are no longer operating anywhere near their best. They feel it. Energy is lower, recovery takes longer, strength is not what it used to be. Body composition is harder to manage. Focus is not as sharp. And here is the mistake most people make. They think that is normal. They think that is just aging. But what is really happening is they have slipped out of peak span in multiple systems. And they have done nothing to slow it down. Or worse, they're doing the wrong things. Too little intensity, not enough strength training, under eating protein, poor sleep, too much stress with no recovery. They are maintaining health, but they're not maintaining performance. And those are not the same thing. The goal is not just to avoid disease. And this is where I want to shift your thinking. If your goal is to just avoid disease, you will miss the bigger opportunity. You can check all the boxes. You can have decent blood work. You can pass your physical and still feel like a lesser version of yourself. Peakspan raises the standard. It says we are not just trying to avoid problems. We are trying to preserve capability. We're trying to stay close to our best for as long as possible. This is a very different goal. It requires a very different approach. So let's talk about the playbook to extend peak span. So here's the good news. Even though all these systems age differently, you do not need a different program for each one. There are a handful of core levers that protect multiple systems at once. And this is where everything we do at Y.E.S Fitness lines up perfectly with what research is now showing. Number one is training. Training's hard. People don't like to do it. That's why people don't do it. But it's not just movement. It's not just walking. It's training. You need a combination of strength and conditioning. Strength training preserves the muscle, bone density, and metabolic function. Talk about it all the time here. It helps maintain your ability to produce force. This is one of the biggest predictors of long-term independence. Cardiovascular training preserves your aerobic capacity, and this is critical because your VO2 max is one of the strongest predictors of how long and how well you live. But here's the mistake. Most people stay in low-intensity work. They walk. They do light cardio. They stay comfortable. And that's not enough to maintain peak span. You need intensity, at least once a week, intervals. Push your systems, because this is what preserves your ceiling. If you do not train near your limits shrink. You snooze, you lose. You need to lift weights. You need to do strength training, and you need to challenge the body. It needs to be hard. Safe, but hard. Same for cardio. Every once in a while, you need to do some interval work. You need to push your systems, or else you're not going to keep your limits. You'll not stay near your ceiling. Number two is protein and nutrition. If you're not eating enough protein, you are losing ground. Period. The research is clear. To maintain muscle and function, you need adequate protein intake, especially as you age. You are looking at roughly 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. And if you are training hard or over 40, you should be at a higher level, at the higher end of that. Unless you need to eat protein. We talk to clients about this all the time, and they just really don't even know what protein is. It's not about bodybuilding. This is about preserving function. Muscle is not just for strength. It's for metabolic health. It's for resilience. It's for longevity. Number 3, sleep. You cannot outtrain poor sleep. You always hear you can't outtrain a bad diet. Well, you can't outtrain poor sleep either. Sleep is where your body repairs. It's where your brain resets. It is where your immune system recovers. And if you're not sleeping well, every system we just talked about starts to decline faster. This is non-negotiable. What we've talked about so far is non-negotiable if you want to keep your peak span. And number 4 is body composition. Carrying excess body fat does not just affect how you look. It affects your immune system. It affects your metabolic health, your hormones, the cardiovascular system. It accelerates decline across the board. It affects your brain. We just talked about that a few weeks ago. Maintaining a healthy body composition is one of the most powerful ways to stay in peak span longer. And number 5 is consistency over time. This is not a 6-week fix. It's not a short-term program. This is a long game. Peak span is built over decades. And it is lost the same way, slowly, quietly. It always brings me back to a story. A client of mine that started with me probably 20 years ago now. Joanne, when she first started, came on board, wanted to lose weight, lost the weight. She goes, how long do I need to do this? I said, you need to do this until they put the first nail in the coffin. Because if not, you're just wasting your time. You need to be consistent over your lifetime. Never too late to start, but you need to be consistent. The goal is slow that decline, to extend that window where you're still strong, capable, sharp, and independent. Measuring is what matters. One of the most interesting parts of this concept is measurement. If the goal is to stay within your 90% of your best, you need to know what your best is. That could be your strength numbers, your aerobic capacity, your body composition, even simple things like how many push-ups can you do? How fast can you move? How strong are you relative to your body weight? Without benchmarks, you're just guessing. And when you guess, you drift. And that is important. Measurement's a tool, not just a source. You don't need to track everything. You just need enough awareness to know if you're maintaining your decline. The simple measurement I have is at the end of the year, I time my bike rides, how long it takes me. When I started up again this year, my bike ride took me actually almost 15 minutes longer than the last year. I got some work to do, but it was a simple measurement. From here to 72 and back should take me about 56 minutes, and it took me 15 minutes more this time. First time out, you would expect to be a little bit less fit because I don't ride over the summer, but it's just a simple measurement. So peak span is not about chasing perfection. It's not about extreme performance. It's about maintaining your edge, your capability, your independence for as long as possible. It's about staying the person who can do what they want to do, when they want to do it, without limitations. Because at the end of the day, that is what people really want. Not just more years, better years, stronger years, more capable years. And the truth is, the path to get there is not complicated. Train with intent. Train with intent. Eat to support your body. Get that protein in. Get those fruits and vegetables. Prioritize sleep. Maintain your body composition and stay consistent. Success everywhere in life is about being consistent. And this is how you extend peak span. This is how you stay close to your best. This is how you truly live better as you age. If you found this episode helpful, share it with someone who wants to stay strong, sharp, and independent as they age. And remember, the goal is not just to live longer, the goal is to live better. Keep training, keep moving. I'm Chris Borda, and this is the Functional Longevity Podcast, pardon me. And I will see you next time with more information on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. Thanks for watching.